Alright, so here we have.
Lemony Gem.
And what are you playing today?
I have my Shizuku deck, Diet and Exercise.
Alright, let's get started.
Alright, obviously my main is going to be Shizuku. Fulbright with Shizuku. She's pretty interesting. The whole reason I wanted to build the archetype was because this card came out and like, I can deal with this. Her skills. First off to know, she has been errated on the internet, one of two cards in this deck that has. The first skill is when she is placed on Vanguard, Counterblast 1. You may search the top 5 cards of your deck for either a grade 3 or a card of Shizuku in its card name. Add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. Please note that the English release of the cards does say grade 3 with Shizuku. That's wrong. The second ability is an on-strike, giving your new Vanguard, the following skill. Continuous. All original grade 2s in your deck gain +1 grade until end for this turn. Meaning, when you use, say, Superb New Student Shizuku, and then instead of just getting a grade 3, you can also grab a grade 2. It's very good for two reasons. One, adding more cards to your hand. Drawing cards, especially in a game like Vanguard, is always nice. Second reason, your deck is getting smaller, with mostly just a bunch of grade 0s in your deck. Can I say trigger checks for days? Now, for my grade 3s, I always have a playset of Shizuku. Unfortunately, only one SP. Sadness. Next grade 3 I have in my deck is a playset of Wonderful Voice Loris. She's good mainly because she's usable as a rearguard, who, as a rearguard, she has the GB2 ability that while she's in Harmony gives a plus 5,000 power, making her a really good beat stick on rearguard. And if I have to ride her as a Vanguard, okay, I get that extra draw power, and if I can't strike and she's in Harmony, extra crit. Now, as for my grade 2s, I run a fairly simple package, kind of, not sure. 3 copies of Admiral Sparkle Spicker. She's just really good. She's an Amber clone, meaning with GB1, when she attacks a Vanguard while boosted, she does a thing. For her, it's Counterblast 1, choose one of the other rearguards, and return to your hand. Then choose a card from your hand, call it to rearguard, and give it a plus 3,000 power. That's very good for getting some amazing numbers in with some very powerful combos in my deck. Next, I have 3 copies of Unbelievable Potpourri. She has the Harmony ability, which is nice, but she also has an on-hit ability from rearguard with G-Break 1. When she hits a Vanguard, choose one of the other rearguards, return it to your hand. Then if she is in Harmony, you may choose a card from your hand and call it to rearguard. A very fun combo I like to do with her is to have her boosted by Shizuku, and if hit, bounce Shizuku, call Shizuku, check the top 5. Next, I have 2 copies of Ideal Walking Weather Amelia. She's there because 1, resist, that's always good, and especially in a meta like ours that has things like Dragonic Overlord decks, that has things like Mega Colony, just all kinds of annoying stuff that messes with your rearguards. Her other ability is very good draw tech, Counterblast 1, with Generation Break 1. When this unit is returned to your hand from rearguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, draw 1 card. For resource utilization, resource management, we have Mystical Charge Vita. Her ability is that with Generation Break 1, I can Soul Blast 1 at the beginning of my main phase, any main phase, to return it to my hand. Then, I may choose a grade 1 or lower card from my hand, call it to rearguard. If I have a grade 4 Vanguard, I may countercharge 1. Allow me to, say if I'm stuck on Loris, do the annoying shenanigans they can do, which will give an extra power for your opponent's turn. Or, more importantly, on my turn, I countercharge. Counterblast are very important in this deck. Finally for the grade 2s, we have Prestige Sedia. She is still being tested, but she's mainly there to be extra power with extra countercharge and soul charge on hit. She has the Harmony ability, and then an Act ability that lets her Counterblast 1 and choose one of my other rearguards in Harmony and rest it. If I do, she gains plus 5,000 power, and the ability where until end of turn with G Break 1, when her attack hits a Vanguard, I may Counter Blast 1, Soul Charge 1, and bounce up to one of my other rearguards to my hand. For the grade 1s, I start off with a playset of the main card of my deck, Superb New Student Shizuku, who, once per turn, when this unit becomes Harmony, you may look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Add one grade 3 from among them to your hand, and shuffle the rest back in. As I explained earlier, with full white with Shizuku as my Vanguard, and after I stride, she becomes the greatest draw power / utility card in my deck, allowing me to add many cards to my hand, and with the bouncing mechanics of Bermuda Triangle, get that effect to go off multiple times a turn. Next we have the Perfect Guard playset of Image Master Kukuri. Very simple. She's the standard issue, every clan has one of these counter-charge PG. Meaning, when you use her to Perfect Guard, after you pay the cost, if you have another copy of her in your drop zone, counter-charge 1. Amazing resource management, sorry about that, and who doesn't love a PG? Next, I have 3 copies of the Stride Enabler Talent of Perseverance Shandy. Only in this deck, she's more than just a Stride Enabler, because, as with all Stride Enablers, when placed on rearguard from hand, I can reveal a grade 3, search my deck for a card with Lorison's codename, add to my hand, and shuffle my deck, meaning more deck thinning. A card that's good in any deck becomes even better in this one. And finally for the grade 1s, I have 2 copies of Dual Clear Parasol Kura, who, when placed on rearguard, I may Soul Blast 2 and Counter Charge 2. Simple, sweet, but necessary. For the triggers, I am running 4 heal triggers, using the Sandy heal trigger for the extra effect, 4 copies of Cherished Phrase Brainer, the Loris crit, who, when my Vanguard with Lorison's codename attacks, I may put it from rearguard into my soul to give that unit plus 5,000 power and draw a card. 4 copies of the Shushu draw trigger from the trial deck, who, Margot clone, from rearguard I can may put into the soul to give a unit plus 3,000 power, in case I need to up my soul count for my Kuros. And 4 of your standard generic vanilla critical trigger. It's another crit. I like crits.
It's fine, but do you want it?
For a starter, we have the best one in the clan, First Lesson Akari, who has the Harmony ability and Generation Break 1. While this unit is in Harmony, she gets the Act skill to put into my soul, choose one of my other rearguards, return it to my hand, and then draw a card. Meaning, she can easily allow me to use this skill, the skill of Shizuku, multiple times in one turn. And finally, the G-Zone. First stride is usually going to be Maximum Rapture Lucia, who with a Soul Blast of 1 on attack, and flipping one of my other face-down cards of my G-Zone, I may return one of my other units in Harmony to hand, and then choose a card from my hand and call it to rearguard. She has to be in Harmony to do this, so don't worry. Generally, if I use her effect, I flip over Air Element Sabreeze, a staple on most decks, who, if my opponent is at grade 2 and did not ride last turn, and I Counter Blast 2, discard a card, and stride him, without paying the normal stride cost. If for whatever reason, striding into Lucia is a bad idea, I have Lucky Rise Elprina, so I can continue to get my Shizuku effects off. Her skill is a once per turn act. I may Soul Blast 1, and choose up to 2 of my rearguards and return them to my hand. As a placeholder until I can get something better, I have Celebrate Voice Loris, who with Generation Break 2 and once per turn, I can Counter Blast 1 and flip any card from my G-Zone face up. I may choose up a number of my rearguards up to the amount of face-up cards in my G-Zone, return them to my hand. And then, until end of turn, Loris gets the other ability of, when she attacks, if all my units are in Harmony, I choose up to 3 of my units, give them plus 5,000 power till end of turn, and she'll get plus 1 crit. Next, I have a playset of another Bermuda staple, School Etoile Olivia. Her skill is an auto skill, also requiring was basically Generation Break 2 before that keyword came out. Counterblast 1 and choose any number of my rear guards with different names and return them to my hand. If I return at least if all the chosen units have different names, I return them all to my hand. If 3 or more units are returned this way, I choose 2 cards from my hand, call them to rear guard, and then she gets +1 crit. This allows me to get multiple attacks one turn, while making some very dangerous swings. Next, I have 2 copies of Perfect Performance Ange, a new card that is a staple now that Link Joker has gotten a lot more support. Once per turn as an axe skill, I can counterblast 2 and choose not herself, but any face-down card from my G-Zone face-up. She is the other card in this deck that has been errated. If I do that, I may choose any number of circles other than Vanguard from any fighter's field and return the card in those circles to their owner's hand. This means that I may bounce also locked cards. For each card returned to hand this way, she gets +5,000 power. Then, if I return at least 5 cards, I draw a card. And if I return at least 7, she gets +1 drive. Next, I have Bermuda Triangle's Generation Break 8 card, Festival Finale Priscilla, Final Priscilla, who, at the end of the battle that she attacks, I may discard 1 card from my hand, return all my units, all my rear guards to hand, and then choose any number of cards from my hand and call them to rear guard. They get +5,000 power. And for G guards, I have 2 copies of Citron, 3 copies of Citron, and 2 copies of the Sandy G guard. Citron lets me call it grade 1 or less from hand to rear guard to give it her +10,000 shield, and Sandy gets +5,000 shield for every 2 cards in my hand.